Young Su Chen was drawn from the heavenly dragon bloodline, destroyed in the Dantian, and sent to the Yi family in the northern wilderness city, becoming the son.In.Law of the Yi family. At a time of despair, he fused the ancient burial ring left by his mother and became the master of the burial ring. He practiced the divine arts of burial heaven and gained unparalleled divine powers, thus embarking on an invincible path that swept through the world of heavenly pride. If this world is unfair, I will bury the heavens. Chapter 1. Waste son.In.Law. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. The Luo Dynasty, Su family. Su Chen intended to assassinate his fellow clan's Jianjiao, with malicious thoughts and deep crimes. However, considering his father's meritorious contributions to the clan, the Presbyterian Council decided to abolish his cultivation, expel the Su family, and immediately send him to the northern wilderness city. He became a son.In.Law of the Yi family and was never allowed to return to the Su family for life. Above the main hall, an old man in a black robe said expressionlessly. On both sides stood numerous elders of the Su family, most of whom had cold faces, and some of them had expressions full of ridicule. And below knelt a young man with a delicate face. After hearing the order read out by the elder, he trembled all over and suddenly lifted his head to look at the figure he had mastered, his eyes filled with anger and pain. Su Qingxue, you are bullying people too much. The boy roared low, his nails deeply ingrained in his palms, and drops of blood flowed out. On the seat above the main hall, a slender girl wearing a snow-white long dress with an incredibly beautiful face sat there. Her gaze was extremely indifferent, sweeping lightly over Su Chen, as if looking at an ant, full of arrogance and contempt. She is Su Qingxue, the pride of the Su family, now the young master. Su Qingxue, you forcibly took my bloodline, but in turn slandered and disrespected me. Is that your true face, a wolf's heart in a dog's lung? A delicate young man named Su Chen. He looked at Su Qingxue with a look of immense pain in his eyes. When Su Chen was born, a flying dragon descended, and the sound of the dragon's chant echoed throughout the world, earning him the title of the true dragon of the Su family. At the age of 10, Su Chen awakened the heavenly dragon bloodline and was born with a strong physical body. He entered the power martial realm, the Qi martial realm at the age of 12, the true martial realm at the age of 15, and had already reached the 9th level of cultivation in the true martial realm at the age of 16. He has unparalleled talent and is dazzling, known as the hope for the rise of the Su family. However, unexpected circumstances arose. When Su Chen was 15 years old, his father, Su Zhang, who was also the head of the Su family, went out to search for a treasure for Su Chen's physical baptism, but was buried in a secret realm. Su Qingxue's father, Su Yud, became the head of the Su family. Su Qingxue and Su Chen are of similar age, equally talented in martial arts, and have awakened the heavenly python bloodline. Compared to Su Chen's heavenly dragon bloodline, Su Qingxue is only slightly weaker and is also a heavenly level bloodline. Su Qingxue and Su Chen have been childhood sweethearts, chasing after Su Chen and calling him Chen brother. The relationship between the two is also excellent. Su Chen had no reservations about Su Qingxue, imparting all his cultivation experiences and martial arts secrets to her. Even at the age of 16, when he was about to break through the Xuanwu realm, he asked Su Qingxue to protect him. However, Su Chen never expected that while he was practicing in seclusion, Su Qingxue and Su Yud would knock him unconscious, and then forcefully extract Su Chen's heavenly dragon bloodline. Then, Su Chen watched with his own eyes as Su Qingxue's heavenly python bloodline devoured his heavenly dragon bloodline. Su Qingxue broke through the Xuanwu realm in one fell swoop and became the youngest Xuanwu realm genius in the history of the Dalai dynasty. Even Su Qingxue was adopted as a disciple by Xiantian's sect. If Su Chen's bloodline is destroyed, it is completely reduced to waste. Dare Su Chen, how dare you slander the young master and engage in such despicable activities without repentance? Humph, your father and son are not originally members of our Su family. The old head of the family is kind, giving you the surname Su and even making your father the head of the family. You should know how to be grateful. How dare you repay kindness with kindness? Su Chen, you are not grateful and even intend to disrespect the young master. It is simply a wolf's ambition. Is the young master something that a toad like you can covet? Surrounded by numerous elders of the Su family, you spoke to me with a cold smile in your eyes, constantly scolding Su Chen. Then, their eyes toward Su Qingxue were filled with flattering smiles. Su Chen. Su Qingxue stood up. She has a graceful figure, skin that surpasses snow, and a flawless face. She looks down at Su Chen from a high position, with a cold expression in her eyes. In this world, the strong are respected, while the weak can only be left to be slaughtered. You're just a useless person now. I meant to save your life, so don't be ignorant. Su Qingxue's expression was cold and she spoke with righteousness and righteousness. Later, he spoke spiritually and said, "It's your blessing and destiny to offer your blood to me. Do you really think I'll take a liking to you? Ha ha ha. What a strong person to respect, Su Qingxue. I, Su Chen, was blind and could have been deceived by a woman like you with a snake and scorpion heart. If it falls on you, I'll accept it. Why pretend to be hypocritical? Let's take action. I have a big scar on my head, but today's humiliation, in the next life, I will come to you all to reclaim it one by one." Su Chen burst out laughing heartily, her laughter filled with sorrow. The Su family, which he used to be proud of, and the Su family elders who were once extremely friendly to him, now all show an ugly face. Faced with such a family, his heart cooled. Young master, Su Chen harbors resentment in his heart. It seems that he intends to retaliate against our Su family. Why do you insist on sending him into the Yi family? It's better to kill him. The black-robed elder looked at Su Qingxue with flattery, and then a murderous intent flashed in his eyes, making a motion of wiping his neck. Although he is a waste, he is still useful. The Yi family has already presented the precious medicine, 7-leaf purple ginseng, which just helps me break through the heavenly martial realm. Besides, his bloodline has been devoured by me, and the sea of Dantian Qi has been destroyed by me. Now he is just a useless person. Giving him to the Yi family as a son.In.Law would make his life more difficult than death. Su Qingxue said indifferently. Being able to exchange for 7-leaf purple ginseng is also considered waste utilization. The young master is very clever. The black-robed elder complimented. Su Chen looked at Su Qingxue, feeling extremely cold in his heart. Taking away his bloodline and abolishing his cultivation is not enough. Now we still need to sell him like goods. Do you want to send him to become a son.In.Law for the sake of a precious medicine? Is his life so cheap as grass and mustard? How can people be so vicious? Killing without going too far is the most ruthless. Su Yuqing glanced at Su Chen with a cold, disgusted, and disdainful expression in her eyes, as if she was too lazy to say another word to him. Take him down and send him to the Yi family in the northern wasteland city someday. Yes. The black-robed elder nodded respectfully, then turned around with a cold expression in his eyes, walking towards Su Chen. Su Qing Shui. You will regret it, I swear. Su Chen's eyes were bloodshot, staring fiercely at Su Yuqing and roaring angrily. His heart has completely cooled down. For the Su family in front of him, he had no attachment to these indifferent people. However, Su Chen remembers today's shame. He will never forget. Su Chen clenched his fist and his nails were deeply ingrained in his palm, bleeding profusely. He just didn't notice that the blood flowing out of his palm was silently absorbed by a simple ring in his hand. Swear. If swearing is useful, what's the use of martial arts? I am like a divine dragon in the sky, and I will eventually roar in the sky. And you are just an ant, never to turn over. But I advise you, in order to survive for a few more years, it's better for you to pick up your tail and be your son.In.Law well. Su Qingcheng sneered and turned to Elder Hypo, saying, Elder, I've changed my mind. I'll send him to the Yi family in Beihuang city now. Yes. The black-robed elder quickly nodded and bowed, and in Su Chen's fiery gaze, he didn't allow him to say another word. He directly struck Su Chen's head with a palm knife and knocked him unconscious. It's just that no one noticed. At the moment when Su Chen fainted, the antique ring on his finger disappeared instantly. In Su Chen's sea of consciousness, there seemed to be a brilliant light, breaking through the chaos in an instant and opening up a mysterious world. Chapter 2. Burial of the Ancient Ring. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. The light in front of Su Chen's eyes changed, and chaos rose around him. He appeared on an ancient and mysterious chaotic continent. Surrounded by ancient stars, blooming with eternal and immortal light. What is this place? Su Chen's heart trembled. In front of him, on the vast chaotic continent, there were white giant tigers like mountains, black pythons billions of miles long, golden lions with 9 heads, and 3-legged monster birds emitting endless flames all around. But the same thing is that the huge ferocious beasts in front of us have lost any vitality and are all dead. He seemed to be in a mythological world, and the sight before him was incredibly shocking. This is the heavenly burial realm. At this moment, a woman's voice suddenly sounded. Who? Su Chen was startled. But when he looked around, he found nothing. Buzz. At this moment, a chaotic light filled Su Chen's eyes, and a woman dressed in white appeared in front of him. She was shrouded in chaotic light, ethereal, unable to see her face clearly, but her eyes were bright and radiant, as if they could penetrate everything. The bloodline is dry, the elixir field is destroyed, and there is no cultivation. Such a poor talent. Why did the burial heaven ancient ring choose you? The woman in white shook her head and said. Su Chen felt a bit embarrassed, as the woman in white could almost see through his entire body at a glance. Senior, may I ask what the burial heaven ancient ring is? Why am I here? Su Chen asked. He had a vague guess in his heart. In the moment he was unconscious, it seemed as if he saw the ring on his hand turn into a light and fly into his mind. That ring was given to him by his father, and it is said to be the only thing left by Su Chen's mother. You guessed it right, the burial heaven ancient ring is the ring you are wearing in your hand. And here, also known as the burial heaven realm, is the world sealed within the burial heaven ancient ring. The woman in white seemed to see what Su Chen was thinking and said calmly. Burial of the heavenly ancient ring. A sealed world. Su Chen's heart trembled. Looking around at the vast and boundless chaotic continent, as well as those mythical beasts, Su Chen couldn't imagine who had such a terrifying power to seal a world in a small ring. Is it a legendary deity? Senior, are you? Su Chen asked. Do you want to practice? The woman in white said. Of course I want to. However, my bloodline has been devoured by enemies, my elixir field has been destroyed, and I have become a useless person. Can I really practice? Su Chen quickly said, but his eyes were full of bitterness. Under normal circumstances, of course not. But if you become the 9th owner of this burial heaven ancient ring, you can. The woman in white said. The 9th generation master. Su Chen was slightly taken aback. At this moment, he noticed 8 tombstones not far away. The tomb of Emperor Swallowing Heaven. The tomb of the Hunyuan Dan God. Tomb of the Heavenly Sovereign. There are a total of 8 tombstones, with iron hooks and silver paintings on them, as if they contain some kind of heaven and earth truth, making Su Chen feel a huge shock at first glance. Swallowing the Heavenly Emperor. Isn't this the first person in the Xiantian realm 100,000 years ago? He has already broken through the void and become a god, and flown up to the divine realm. Why did he die here? And there is also the Hunyuan Dan God. Isn't this the great master of the Dan Dao who once refined the supreme god Dan with the body of a mortal 200,000 years ago? Feng Tian Zun, the great master of the formation of Feng Tian Jedi 300,000 years ago, is said to have set up a formation that can attract the power of thunder from the heavens and slay gods. He also died here. Su Chen's eyes were full of disbelief. The Heavenly Emperor, the Hunyuan Dan God, and the Feng Tian Zun are all legendary figures widely circulated throughout the world. They are the supreme and strongest figures in the Xiantian realm, once stunning an era. As for the other 5 powerhouses, Su Chen doesn't recognize them anymore. I believe he should also be the strongest in ancient times. Are they? Su Chen asked. They are the first 8 masters of the burial heaven ancient ring, all of whom have already died. The woman in white said. Su Chen. His face looked a bit unsightly. Is this ancient burial ring an ominous thing? The first 8 masters have all died. How did they die? Su Chen asked cautiously. This is not what you can know now, your strength is too weak. The words of the woman in white made Su Chen's face full of embarrassment. However, although they have died, their inheritance has remained here. As long as you start practicing and become stronger, you can gradually gain their inheritance. The next sentence made Su Chen's heart skip a beat. These 8 people, at first glance, are the earth-shattering supreme and powerful figures, legendary figures of ancient times. If they could inherit their legacy, what kind of luck and fate would it be? Please teach me, senior. Su Chen respectfully said. This is the only opportunity for him to practice again, and he must seize it. Your bloodline has dried up and your elixir field has been destroyed. If you want to embark on the path of cultivation again, you must revive your bloodline and reshape your elixir field. This process will be extremely painful. Can you do it? The woman in white remained silent for a moment before slowly speaking. I can do it. Su Chen's expression was resolute. Okay. You see the pond behind the tombstone, right? Jump in. The woman in white said. After the 8 tombstones, there is a stone pond about 10 zhang in diameter, with a thin layer of liquid that looks like blood and presents a colorful light, which is very peculiar. Okay. Su Chen's gaze flickered, without any hesitation, and he jumped directly into the stone pool. Boom. In front of Su Chen's eyes, the divine light changed, and his qi and blood surged to the sky. He jumped into the stone pool, as if stirring up a huge wave. The terrifying force of qi and blood surged around him, enveloping him completely. He seemed to be sitting in a golden ocean, with terrifying and boundless energy and blood constantly surging towards his body. Ong. Roar. Like the roar of ancient mythical beasts, in the golden ocean, appeared billions of miles-long divine dragons, mountain-like giant tigers, 3-legged monster birds burning the sky and destroying the earth, giant pythons devouring the sky and the earth under those golden tears. Su Chen felt as if his whole body had been torn apart, and he was in excruciating pain. He felt the bones and flesh all over his body breaking inch by inch, and his muscles and veins seemed to be forcefully pulled out by someone. That extreme pain is driving him crazy. The blood in this stone pond can revive your bloodline and reshape your elixir field, but if you can't bear it, it will devour the true spirit and you will undoubtedly die. The words of the woman in white echoed in Su Chen's mind. I can bear it. Su Chen let out a low roar, his eyes turning red, revealing a hint of indomitable sharpness. What is this pain compared to the humiliation of Su Qingxue draining his bloodline, destroying his elixir field, and knocking him down from the clouds to the soil before? He wants revenge. He wants justice back. Boom. The vast and boundless power of qi and blood around, accompanied by the ancient mythical beasts and virtual shadows in the sky, burst into pieces with a loud bang, like a storm, surging towards Su Chen. Chapter 3. Burial of Heaven Divine Skill. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Boom. In Su Chen's mind, a golden scripture, emitting an immortal light, slowly emerged. Burial Heaven Divine Skill. Using the heavens and stars as blood, the heavens and worlds as bodies, billions of divine weapons as bones, and endless beings as gods. Forging an indestructible body, roaring at gods and demons, and thinking of chaos, destroying all things, burying the heavens. The sound of Hongzhong and the LV echoed in Su Chen's mind. The technique called Burial of Heaven Divine Skill was deeply imprinted in his mind. Burial of Heaven Divine Skill. Destroy all things, bury all heavens. What kind of anti-heaven skill is this? Su Chen was trembling all over, filled with an incredulous expression. This kind of martial arts technique is simply incredible. Su Chen felt that his entire body was about to be completely torn apart, but after he comprehended the Burial Heavenly Divine Skill, the skill automatically operated, and the vast power of qi and blood flowed into his body like 100 rivers flowing back. His dried blood is reviving. His shattered Dantian is being reshaped. His physical body was like a rebirth, undergoing an incredibly mysterious transformation. Su Chen slowly opened his eyes, with a brilliant brilliance in them, and his whole body was filled with endless power fluctuations. My bloodline and elixir have been restored. Su Chen trembled all over, his eyes filled with an extremely excited expression. Ong! An ancient and mysterious dragon chant sounded, and Su Chen was surrounded by a golden real dragon, which looked majestic and noble. His Dantian has also returned to its original state. Why do you feel that my Tianlong bloodline is different? Su Chen had some doubts. What is there to cherish about your mixed dragon bloodline? You have now undergone a transformation and regained the true dragon bloodline. If you find a dragon clan divine object in the future, even if you continue to evolve, it is not impossible. The woman in white said lightly. True dragon bloodline. Su Chen widened his eyes. The power of bloodline is divided into 7 levels. Human, earth, heaven, king, saint, emperor, and god. Before Su Chen, the heavenly dragon bloodline was already the top bloodline of the entire Dalai dynasty, and the true dragon bloodline was the legendary holy level bloodline. What kind of treasure is this Burial Heaven ancient ring? Surprisingly, he was able to transform himself and possess such incredible qualifications. The origin of the Burial Heaven ancient ring is not something you can know now. You just need to know that you are the owner of the Burial Heaven ancient ring, and there are a total of 9 Burial Heaven ancient rings in these various heavens and realms, which seal the fragments of the 9 major Burial Heaven realms. On each fragment, there is a partial corpse of a peerless demon sealed. Now the power within this ancient ring of burial is severely depleted, making it difficult to seal the body of that peerless demon. What you need to do is work hard to improve your cultivation, find the other 9 Burial Heaven ancient rings, combine the power of the 9 great Burial Heaven ancient rings, in order to suppress the peerless demons. The woman in white, as if sensing the doubt in Su Chen's heart, slowly said. A peerless demon. Su Chen's whole body trembled, and he gave a bitter smile and said, Senior, are these 8 masters of the heavenly burial ancient ring all dying in the hands of peerless demons? That's it. So, in order to survive, young man, you have to work hard. The woman in white said. Excuse me, Senior. How much more time do I have? Su Chen gave a bitter smile. You have at most 2 years left, and you must find the second Burial Heaven ancient ring. The woman in white said. 2 years. I understand. Senior, are you the artifact spirit of the heavenly ancient ring? Su Chen asked curiously. The woman in white said, No. Why is the senior here? Su Chen asked. Are you suspecting that I am a peerless demon? The woman in white said. Cough. I dare not. Su Chen was relieved and said awkwardly. He does have some doubts. If I were a peerless demon, you would have died. Practice well, and after you condense your true chi, you can try to come here to inherit the 8 of them. The woman in white said. Then, without waiting for Su Chen to say anything more, she waved her sleeve and sent Su Chen out of the burial heaven ancient ring. Su Chen opened his eyes. This is a bedroom decorated with red silk, which looks very festive. Su Chen was dressed in a red robe, looking like the groom's official attire, and was now lying on the spacious bed in the bedroom. Is this the Yi family in Beihuang city? Su Chen's gaze flickered and he secretly guessed. Squeak. At this moment, the door was pushed open by someone. Don't worry, brother Zhang. Everything has been arranged. After a while, Qingcheng will be sent in. You must pity her, ha ha ha. Thank you, brother Yi. Qingcheng has a beautiful national scenery and is the most beautiful woman in my northern wasteland city. Today, I can kiss the beauty with my own help, thanks to brother Yi. Don't worry, brother Yi. I will present that dragon and tiger pill later. Zhang, you're welcome. It's her good fortune that Qingcheng can follow you. Today, she recruited that son.in.law Su Chen, which made my Yi family lose face. That's right, Su Chenrua is still the true dragon of the Su family, and I dare not be reckless. But now Su Chen is just a waste, and he also wants to eat swan meat like a toad. Today, on this wedding night, I will be the groom's official for him. Ha ha ha. 2 figures walked into the bedroom. One is a young man wearing a brocade robe, although he looks quite handsome, his gaze is extremely gloomy, and at this moment, his face is full of a pleasing smile. The other person was a muscular man with a face full of flesh, and his eyes were filled with fiery and lascivious expressions. They are Yi Ling and Zhang Kuan. Today in Beihuang city, Qingcheng invited his son.in.law to marry, making the entire Yi family a laughingstock. Zhang Kuan, who had long coveted Qingcheng's beauty, sneaked into the wedding room under the leadership of Yi Ling. Hey, is this useless person still unconscious? Zhang Kuan stared at Su Chendao on the bed. He was knocked unconscious by the Su family and sent over. If brother Zhang thinks he's in the way, I'll tie him up and throw him out directly. It won't delay your beauty. Yi Ling flattered and smiled. This kind of waste, just slaughter it directly, it's unsightly here. Zhang Kuan sneered. After all, he is from the Su family, so it's best to keep him alive. The proud daughter of the Su family is the most dazzling presence of the Dalai dynasty today. Yi Ling reminded. Su family. Humph, then spare his life. Zhang Kuan seemed a bit wary. His eyes rolled and he grinned, however, there's no need to throw him out. I'll wake him up with cold water later. I want him to see it with his own eyes. I'll be stronger than Qingcheng. Brother Zhang is really in high spirits. Yi Ling smiled and said. As for this useless person, being able to see me go to Qingcheng with his own eyes is his blessing. Ha ha ha. Zhang Kuan laughed heartily. He walked to the bedside and reached out to grab Su Chen. Do you want to die? Suddenly, a cold voice sounded. Su Chen on the bed, at some point, had already opened her eyes. Chapter 4. Qingcheng. You are listening at novel full.audio. Zhang Kuan's hand froze. He and Yi Ling were both slightly stunned, not expecting Su Chen to wake up. Humph. A useless person who wakes up and doesn't pretend to be dead, and dares to speak wildly, that's really seeking death. A cold light flashed in Zhang Kuan's eyes, his hand in the shape of a claw, fierce and unparalleled, and suddenly grabbed at Su Chen's neck. Su Chen's eyes widened, and at this moment, all the suppressed anger in her heart was vented with this punch. Click. A crisp sound rang out, and Zhang Kuan's fingers instantly snapped, blood flowing profusely. Accompanied by a scream, Zhang Kuan held his hands and stumbled back in succession. Ah! My hands! Zhang Kun let out a pig-like scream in his mouth. Su Chen, you! Bold! Yi Ling was both shocked and angry. Isn't this Su Chen saying that the sea of Dantian Qi has been shattered, the blood has dried up, and has become waste? Why is there such a strong combat power? Do you know who Zhang Kun is? You useless person, you dare to harm young Master Zhang. If you want to die, don't implicate my Yi family. Yi Ling roared angrily. What kind of person is he and what do I have to do with him? It's you, a member of the Tang dynasty Yi family, who offered his cousin to such a person. It's truly shameless. Su Chen's eyes were bloodshot and he said angrily. Although he was forced to hire a burden and had no emotional connection with Yi Qingcheng, he also did not want to be calculated and be cuckolded. Yi Ling is more detestable than Zhang Kun. You want to die? Yi Ling, whose fig leaf had been removed, blushed like pig liver. Suddenly, he drew a short knife and rushed toward Su Chen. This is in a state of anger and embarrassment, intending to directly kill someone and silence them. It's you who's looking for death. In Su Chen's eyes, a killing intent flashed, and he reached out like lightning, grabbing Yi Ling's wrist and suddenly folding it. Click. Only a crisp sound was heard, and the dagger in Yi Ling's hand fell off. His wrist was directly broken by Su Chen, and he also let out a pig-like scream in his mouth. Bang! Su Chen kicked out and directly kicked Yi Ling away. Yi Ling spewed out a mouthful of blood and, like Zhang Kun, fiercely smashed it onto the hard floor, shattering all his bones as if they were completely shattered. Didn't your cultivation be abolished? How could it be so strong? Yi Ling's eyes were full of disbelief, and he roared fiercely with a fierce expression. He and Zhang Kun are both at the peak of the 9th level cultivation in the realm of strength and martial arts, but they surprisingly have no backhand power in Su Chen's hands. Martial arts cultivation is divided into 5 major realms. Power martial realm, Qi martial realm, True martial realm, Xuanwu realm, and Heavenly martial realm. Although Su Chen was once a peerless pride at the peak of the true martial arts realm, now his bloodline has dried up, his elixir field has been destroyed, and his cultivation has been abandoned. He should have become a useless person, but why is he still so powerful in battle? I'm a waste. Then you're not even as good as garbage. Su Chen sneered coldly, with a hint of cold killing intent in his eyes. If it weren't for obtaining the supreme creation in the burial heaven ancient ring, practicing the burial heaven divine skill, and giving him a rebirth and regaining the cultivation of the 9th level of the power and martial arts realm, I'm afraid he would suffer all the humiliation today. What do you want to do? Su Chen, this is the Yi family. If you dare to kill me, the Yi family will definitely not let you go. Su Chen, my elder brother is arrogant and a genius of the Wangde Martial Arts Academy. If you dare to harm me, my elder brother will definitely make you want to survive or die. Yi Ling and Zhang Kun both trembled and roared angrily. Stop it. At this moment, a cold and indifferent voice sounded. The door pushed open, and a graceful figure with a phoenix draped in a rosy crown walked in. She was dressed as a bride, with skin as white as jade and a flawless face, especially a pair of brilliant and bright eyes, like stars. Although she seemed to have no cultivation in her body, she had an extraordinary temperament. Like a 9 heavenly goddess in the dust. Yi Qingcheng. Yi Ling and Zhang Kun both trembled and exclaimed in surprise. They have arranged for Yi Qingcheng's personal maid to administer medicine to him. At this moment, Yi Qingcheng should be unconscious and about to be sent over. Why does she look so clear-headed? Is she Yi Qingcheng? Su Chen was slightly taken aback. Yi Qingcheng's appearance and temperament are unparalleled, even Su Qingxue is slightly inferior, causing Su Chen to momentarily lose consciousness. More importantly, Su Chen felt that Yi Qingcheng was somewhat familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before. Lanxiang is my personal maid, how could she be so easily bought by you? Stupid. Qingcheng glanced at Yiling and Zhang Kun curled up on the ground, their faces as cold as frost, and their beautiful eyes filled with anger. If it weren't for Lanxiang's unwavering loyalty to her, she would really have been hit. Yiling and Zhang Kun deserve to die for their crimes. They want to harm you, you want to save them. Su Chen glanced at Qingcheng and said coldly. Su Chen, although you still have some combat power, since you have arrived at the Yi family, don't cause trouble. You can't offend the two of them, leave it to me, and I will handle it myself. Qingcheng was stared at by Su Chen's gaze, and his heart couldn't help but tremble, but he still remained calm and said expressionlessly. Ha ha ha. You're such a good person, don't cause trouble. Since you're afraid I'll cause trouble for you, why do you insist on inviting me in? Su Chen laughed wildly, his eyes full of mockery. Indeed, waste is entering the household, not even a servant. I invited you to join me because I don't want to leave the Yi family. Your arrival just happened to coincide with their meeting. I'm taking them away today. If there's nothing else, you can rest well. There was a hint of sadness in Qingcheng's eyes, but he still said coldly. Coincidentally, it's just an opportunity. Qingcheng, you're afraid of them, I'm not afraid of Su Chen. Even if we don't kill them today, we'll give them a profound lesson. Su Chen let out a mournful laugh. Then, his eyes shone like iron. Boom. He took one step and his whole body was filled with blood and energy. He stepped on Zhang Kuen's lower abdomen and immediately crushed his fifth limb. Then, with a punch that was as fast as lightning, it hit Yiling's Dantian and directly exploded his Dantian. Ah! Two pig-like screams rang out, and Zhang Kun and Yiling curled up, trembling all over, experiencing extreme pain. Especially Zhang Kun, in the future, even his qualification as a man has been stripped. Qingcheng frowned, not expecting Su Chen to act so harshly. It was probably difficult to handle now, whether it was the Yi or Zhang families, it was difficult to explain. Someone, take them both away. With Qingcheng's command, two powerful guards dressed in black armor suddenly walked in and bowed to Qingcheng, then dragged out Zhang Kun and Yiling who were howling incessantly. Qingzhu, stay and serve my uncle to rest. Qingcheng said indifferently, and a pretty girl in green clothes walked in outside. Later, Qingcheng glanced at Su Chen again and said calmly, this is the Yi family, not the Su family. I hope you recognize reality, don't cause trouble, and be your son.In.law well. After speaking, Qingcheng turned around and left. Chapter 5. Qingcheng's Thoughts. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yi family. A delicate small courtyard. Qingcheng stood in the courtyard, still wearing a phoenix crown, but at this moment, looking at the bright full moon in the night sky, he was slightly lost. Miss, why are you so indifferent to your uncle even though you have him in your heart? Behind Qingcheng, Lanxiang couldn't help but ask. After coming out of Su Chen's bedroom, Qingcheng looked so lost that she deeply felt sorry for her young lady. You. Nonsense, who has him in their heart? Upon hearing Lanxiang's words, Qingcheng blushed and stuttered. Miss, you can't hide from others, but you can't hide from me. Over the past few years, you have been collecting information about Prince Su Chen, both openly and secretly. Especially half a month ago, when Prince Su Chen became obsessed with his cultivation, his elixir field was destroyed and he became a useless person, news came that you had been sleepless for several nights. Is this still called having no uncle in your heart? However, what Lanxiang is curious about is that you have paid such a high price, even willing to take the top-quality medicine 7-leaf purple ginseng from your family to the Su family, in exchange for Su Chen's son to enter the Yi family. Now that you have married your uncle, why are you so indifferent to him? Lanxiang blinked her cute big eyes and asked curiously. Why be indifferent to him? It's really. It has to be like this. Qingcheng let out a light sigh. You should know my current situation. Many people in my family are dissatisfied with me, thinking that I cannot cultivate, but I occupy the position of a young clan leader and do not deserve to be virtuous. If I get too close to him, it will inevitably lead him into a vortex, which is extremely dangerous. So. Qingcheng's voice was somewhat bitter. They're talking nonsense. Lanxiang said indignantly, Miss, if it weren't for you who have been in charge of the Yi family, managing business, and putting in all your efforts over the years, the Yi family wouldn't have been so strong. Are those people in the Yi family a group of ungrateful people? The Yi family was originally just a second-rate family in Beihuang city. But Qingcheng was a commercial genius. Over the years, he managed his family's various industries, opened up sources and reduced costs, and earned a huge amount of spiritual stones and cultivation resources, which made the Yi family become the first family in Beihuang city. But now that the Yi family is strong, because Qingcheng cannot cultivate martial arts, many people have set their sights on the position of young clan leader in Qingcheng. Anyway, as long as we can protect Su Chen, even if he harbors resentment towards me, it doesn't matter. Qingcheng said softly. She was slightly lost, as if recalling the year when she was 12. Heavy snow is falling and the sky is cold and the earth is freezing. She was abducted by human traffickers, exiled to a foreign land, and trapped in a desperate situation, but was saved by a father and son, becoming the only light in her heart. She still remembers the spirited and handsome young man, wiping away her tears and telling her not to be afraid. He will protect her. That boy illuminated the darkness of her youth, becoming the only hope that supported her to survive, and had already been deeply imprinted in her heart. That boy, his name is Su Chen. Qingcheng's slender fingers gently caressed a somewhat worn handkerchief embroidered with an antique ring. This is the handkerchief that Su Chen used to wipe her tears. She treasures it to this day, like a peerless treasure. Miss, it's just that you've been wronged too much. Lanxiang said tearfully. I'm fine. Qingcheng smiled slightly and said. Her smile was very beautiful, gentle as water, and the whole courtyard seemed to light up. Now, the person she longs for is right beside her. In the past, he was a towering 9-day scorching sun, which made people look up to him. Qingcheng could only console himself with a small piece of news. Now that he has arrived at the Yi family and by her side, she is very satisfied. Su Chen, let me protect you this time. Qingcheng secretly said in his heart. Miss, what should Yi Ling and Zhang Kun do? Uncle has beaten them so badly, but they deserve it. Uncle should have killed them. Lanxiang asked, feeling a bit angry. If it weren't for her cleverness, the consequences would be unimaginable if Miss Zhang Kun had killed her tonight. Stay overnight for now, I'll handle it tomorrow. Qingcheng said lightly. Then, with some unease, she reminded Qingzhu, tell Qingzhu to protect your uncle, and no matter what his needs are, try to satisfy them as much as possible. Yes. Lanxiang agreed. Inside the bedroom. Su Chen looked at the young girl in green clothes in front of him with some helplessness. Miss Qingzhu, how can I rest here? Su Chen gave a bitter smile. This is the maid, Qingzhu, left for him by Qingcheng. Qingzhu carries an ancient sword on his back and attacks his green clothes with an extraordinary aura. His martial arts cultivation has reached the 8th level of Qi and martial arts realm, and although his face is beautiful, he is somewhat cold and silent. Qingcheng asked her to stay to serve Su Chen, but Su Chen didn't know if she was staying to serve him or monitoring him. Qingzhu remained silent for a moment and said, I'm right outside. If uncle has anything to do, just give orders. Then, she turned around and left the bedroom. Seeing Qingzhu leave, Su Chen breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Being stared at by this cold and beautiful maid, he was really uncomfortable all over. Although I don't know why Miss Qingcheng recruited me, it seems that she has no feelings for me and we are strangers. When we find a chance, let's separate from her and leave the Yi family. Su Chen thought to himself. He knew that Su Qingcheng did not kill him, but instead sent him to the Yi family as a son.In.law to humiliate him. If it had been before, Su Chen may not have had any hope of revenge in this life. But now, Su Chen has the Burial Heaven Ancient Ring and inherited the Burial Heaven Divine Skill. When he achieves success in cultivation, he can return to the Su family and seek revenge against Su Qingcheng. Su Qingcheng, wait for me. I will retrieve everything that Su Chen has lost with my own hands. A hint of hatred flashed through Su Chen's eyes, and he thought to himself. He sat cross-legged on the bed and began practicing the burial god technique. In the burial of the heavenly ancient ring, Su Chen revived the true dragon bloodline, reshaped the sea of Dantian Qi, and almost underwent a complete transformation, allowing his current cultivation to reach the 9th level of the martial arts realm. Next, it is to gather the power of all body qi and blood, open up a sea of qi in the elixir field, gather innate true qi, and break through the realm of qi and martial arts. Su Chen utilized the Burial Heaven Divine Skill, and the spiritual energy from the surrounding heaven and earth surged towards his body, continuously refining his physical body and improving his cultivation. So Su Chen practiced all night. The barrier of my Dantian Qi Sea has become so strong. With the speed at which I absorb spiritual energy now, it may take at least a few months to break through the Qi and martial arts realm. Su Chen opened his eyes and frowned slightly. Although the Burial Heaven Divine Skill is indeed extraordinary, allowing him to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in his martial arts realm, his reshaped Dantian Qi Sea is incredibly strong. It becomes extremely difficult to open up the Qi Sea and condense innate true Qi. The Burial Heaven Divine Skill can refine heaven and earth. If we can find some heavenly materials and earth treasures, it may improve our cultivation speed a lot. Su Chen whispered to himself. He is preparing to go out and see if he can find some heavenly and earthly creatures in this northern wasteland city. Chapter 6. Beihuang City, Strange Jade Buddha. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Chen left the Yi family and prepared to take a stroll around the Beihuang city. Green bamboo naturally follows closely behind. Beihuang City is close to the Beihuang Mountains, which stretch for thousands of miles. Among them, there are not only various precious spiritual medicines and exotic beasts, but also many rare treasures. Many warriors will search for treasures in the Beihuang Mountains and then trade them in Beihuang City. So, Beihuang City is very prosperous. Su Chen arrived at the west street of Beihuang City, where many warriors were setting up street stalls selling various natural materials and treasures, creating a lively atmosphere. However, those so-called treasures vary in quality and are difficult to distinguish between true and false. Without sufficient eyesight, they are easily deceived. The black jade Buddha on your right stall is not bad, it is useful for you to cultivate the Burial Heaven Divine Skill. Suddenly, the voice of the woman in white echoed in Su Chen's mind. Su Chen's heart moved and he immediately walked towards the stall on the right. The vendor is a middle-aged man who looks like a thief with sharp eyes. On top of the stall are some spiritual herbs, minerals, and broken weapons. That black jade Buddha looks very black, with cracks on it, very inconspicuous, just placed together with a pile of weapons. The vendor was shouting hard when he saw Su Chen approaching, and his eyes lit up instantly. At this moment, Su Chen changed into a moon-white robe, looking handsome and extraordinary. At first glance, he looked like a nobleman from a noble family. The vendor had a sharp eye and knew that such a nobleman with high ambitions and low skills was best fooled. Young master, may I ask if you need anything? My place is full of natural resources and treasures from the Beihuang Mountains, unique to the entire Beihuang city. The vendor warmly greeted. How do you sell this jade Buddha? Su Chen asked. Young master, you have great eyesight. This Jade Buddha is a precious treasure of the Western Buddhist sect, extremely precious. It can assist in cultivation and cleanse evil spirits. It is the treasure of my stall. However, if young master wants it, I will reluctantly cut it off today. As long as there are only 5,000 lower-grade spiritual stones, what do you think? The vendor's eyes rolled and he chuckled. Su Chen furrowed his brows and immediately regretted it. It seemed that he had been careless. He shouldn't have exposed his desire for a Buddha statue so early. Now, the vendor with sharp eyes noticed that he wanted to kill him severely. It's too expensive. 100 pieces of inferior spirit stones, will they be sold or not? Su Chen said lightly. 100. Definitely not. This is the treasure of the Western Buddhist sect. If the young master sincerely wants it, he will need at least 3,000 pieces of inferior spiritual stones. The vendor pretended to have a painful expression on his face and said. 200 pieces of inferior spirit stones. If you don't want to sell them, then forget it. Su Chen shook his head and got up to leave. Young master, 200 pieces of inferior spirit stones cannot be sold. How about you add more? You can take 1,000 pieces of inferior spirit stones directly. Young master, don't leave. 500, only 500 pieces of inferior spirit stones. 400. Young master, come back and I'll sell you 200 lower-grade spirit stones. Let's just make friends, and I'll bear to part ways today. The vendor shouted hard, but in the end, seeing that Su Chen was not moved and showed signs of giving up, he quickly called Su Chen back. However, the vendor was also overjoyed, as he had collected this pile of junk from others, adding up to only a few inferior spirit stones. That black jade Buddha is very ordinary, carved from some kind of inferior jade, not worth much money at all. He is already extremely satisfied that he can sell 200 lower-grade spiritual stones. Su Chen nodded and reached out to take it out of his sleeve. But suddenly, his hand froze. Su Chen suddenly remembered that after leaving the Su family, even his storage ring was taken away by Su Qingcheng. He can be said to be penniless now. He really can't take out 200 inferior spirit stones. Young master, you didn't bring the spirit stone, did you? It's okay, I can go back with you to pick it up. The vendor rolled his eyes and said enthusiastically. Su Chen felt a bit embarrassed. But at this moment, the green bamboo standing behind Su Chen handed out a package of spirit stones. The vendor's eyes lit up and he quickly took it over. After opening it, there were spiritual stones overflowing with light, which cost exactly 200 yuan, making him smile all over his face. Thank you very much, young master. You have collected this jade Buddha. The vendor smiled and said, then pushed the black jade Buddha into Su Chen's hand. That posture was as if afraid of Su Chen turning back. Wait a minute. At this moment, a strange and sinister voice came. A young master dressed in a brocade robe, accompanied by a few extraordinary guards, pushed away the crowd and swaggered in. The young master of the Jade Buddha has taken a liking to it. Hand it over. The young man in genie proudly smiled and said. Su Chen didn't even glance at him, picked up the Jade Buddha, and then said to the green bamboo, let's go. Bold. I'm talking to you, didn't you hear me? The young man in genie's gaze turned cold, he took a step forward, stopped in front of Su Chen, and shouted coldly. Is that the young master of the Zhang family, Zhang Lin? Someone around exclaimed in surprise, recognizing the origin of the young man in brocade. The Zhang family is also a big family in Beihuang city. Originally, they were the first generation, but over the years, the Yi family has had the upper hand, causing the Zhang family to suffer a lot of losses. However, the Zhang family has a profound cultural heritage that is far beyond the comparison of the Yi family, especially since the Zhang family's heavenly pride entered the Wangdu Martial Arts Academy. The Zhang family has been at its peak, with a faint trend of overshadowing the Yi family. A good dog doesn't block the way. This jade Buddha belongs to me, why should I give it to you? Su Chen frowned and said coldly. After leaving the Yi family, he realized that Zhang Lin had been following him all along. Now that he had just bought the jade Buddha, he couldn't wait to jump out, clearly coming for him. What I want, Zhang Lin, is something that I haven't been able to get yet in the northern wilderness city. You are a useless son.In.Law of the Yi family who cannot cultivate. Dare you argue with me? Do you want to die? Zhang Lin sneered and said arrogantly. That's right, he came today for Su Chen. Zhang Kuan had his fifth limb disabled by Su Chen and was sent back to the Zhang family in a disheveled manner, which angered the Zhang family. He and Zhang Kuan were already close friends, and coupled with their desire to please Zhang Kuan's elder brother, they were eager to come and cause trouble for Su Chen. The son.In.Law of the Yi family. He is the Su family waste who entered the Yi family yesterday and became Miss Yi Qingcheng's husband. What a pity. Yi Qingcheng is the most beautiful woman in my northern wasteland city and a commercial genius, but she married a useless person. What a waste. Yeah. This kid has entered the Yi family and is not a person with his tail between his legs. He dares to wander around in this northern wasteland city and offend Prince Zhang Lin. He really doesn't know what to do. The people around heard Zhang Lin reveal Su Chen's identity, and immediately had a guess. They were discussing one by one, and their eyes towards Su Chen were full of contempt and ridicule. Zhang Gongzi, please show some respect. He is the uncle of my Yi family, and even if we teach him a lesson, it is still the responsibility of my young lady. It's not your turn to intervene. Qing Zhu frowned, but still stood in front of Su Chen, staring at Zhang Lin in a cold voice. Chapter 7. Strike Zhang Lin, Black Jade Spirit Marrow. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Qing Zhu was also somewhat dissatisfied with Su Chen. In her opinion, it was a great blessing for Su Chen to enter the Yi family and become the husband of the young lady, but Su Chen did not honestly become a son.In.Law, which would cause trouble. Yesterday I injured Yi Ling and Zhang Kuan, but today I am facing Zhang Lin head-on, causing a lot of trouble for Mississippi. However, Yi Qingcheng asked her to protect Su Chen well, despite her dissatisfaction, she didn't say much. Su Chen, you useless son.In.Law. Are you used to only hiding behind women? If you have the ability, get out and fight me. Don't be timid, don't look like a man. Zhang Lin glanced at Qing Zhu with a hint of fear in his eyes. But he still sneered at Su Chen. Who didn't know that although Yi Qingcheng was unable to cultivate, the four maids under his command, Mei Lan, Zhu Ju, were all talented cultivators with extraordinary cultivation skills. Especially the green bamboo, it has exceptional talent, excels in swordsmanship, and has extremely strong combat power. Zhang Lin didn't expect that Yi Qingcheng would send green bamboo to protect Su Chen. His heart was filled with jealousy, and he saw that Su Chen was becoming increasingly displeased. Uncle, don't be impulsive, let's go. Qing Zhu whispered. She could naturally see that Zhang Lin's clumsy provocation was intended to provoke Su Chen. Qing Zhu, please step aside. They are all kicking their noses and face. If they don't fight, wouldn't they say I'm afraid of him? If he wants to fight, then fight. Su Chen said lightly. Qing Zhu was dissatisfied with Su Chen's stubbornness in his heart, but he couldn't resist in person, so he still retreated and stared at Zhang Lin with vigilance. Su Chen, you're still a man. But unfortunately, you're just a brainless trash. Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of Zhang Kuan's cousin. Zhang Lin sneered and said. Boom. He probed his claws in the air, his claws sharp and unparalleled, condensing a faint wave of true energy, like lightning catching Su Chen. Golden Eagle Claw. This is a top-notch yellow rank martial arts skill of the Zhang family, combined with his cultivation level of 3 levels in the Qi and martial realm, it is incredibly powerful and can tear apart gold and stones. He made up his mind to give Su Chen a hard lesson. "Uncle, be careful." Qingzhu's face changed and he was about to take action. But a powerful force of Qi and blood first erupted with a single step, and then with a force like a fierce dragon, it punched out. Click. This punch was fierce and unmatched, like a thunderous bolt of lightning, accompanied by a faint dragon power, and instantly met Zhang Lin's golden eagle claw. Only a crisp sound was heard. Zhang Lin's finger broke instantly, and blood filled the air. He was like being struck by lightning and suddenly flew out horizontally. Ah! Zhang Lin screamed in agony, his arms tingled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Isn't Su Chen a waste? How could one possibly possess such terrifying power? You're not much stronger than Zhang Kuan's trash, dare you stand out for him? Su Chen gave a cold shout and strode towards Zhang Lin, then slapped him in the air and directly hit his face. Pop! A crisp voice rang out, and he was directly pulled out by Su Chen, half of his face swollen, and his teeth mixed with blood foam flew out. It looks very miserable. Let go of my young master. Zhang Lin's guards, who were just waking up from a dream, roared angrily and were about to rush towards Su Chen. Zhang! I saw a brilliant sword light blooming, like a trained rainbow, approaching its peak and directly cutting off the weapons in the hands of those guards. Qingzhu held an ancient sword, with sword energy permeating his body. He pointed at the guards in the air. Whoever moves, whoever dies. Her gaze was extremely cold. Those guards, stiff all over, were all frightened by her. Pop pop pop. Not far away, Zhang Lin was not a match for Su Chen at all. Su Chen arched him left and right, his face swollen like a pig's head, and he let out a pig-like scream in his mouth. Save your dog's life today. If you dare to appear in front of me again in the future, I will see you once and hit you once. Su Chen beat Zhang Lin to the brink of death, but in the end, he didn't take down the assassin and threw him out with a backhand. Then, he gave a faint glance to the people around him. Everyone trembled all over, their eyes filled with awe, and no one dared to look at him. This son.In.Law of the Yi family is too fierce. They didn't expect that even Zhang Lin from the Qi Wu realm was not a match for Su Chen. Is this really the legendary useless son.In.Law? Qingzhu, let's go. Su Chen carried the green bamboo and flew away. Qingzhu's eyes were also filled with a look of shock. She had just noticed that Su Chen's internal qi and blood were as strong as a vast ocean. Although there was no fluctuation in true qi, it was at least the highest cultivation level in the 9th level of the martial arts realm. Didn't he have his bloodline dried up, his Dantian qi destroyed, and become a waste that cannot be cultivated? Why is there such amazing combat power? Is this his remaining combat power? Qingzhu thought to himself. The remaining combat power is so terrifying. If Su Chen were in his heyday, how powerful would it be? Unfortunately, he lacks the Sea of Dantian Qi and will never be able to break through the Qi and martial arts realm in his lifetime. How good would it be if he could still cultivate? In that case, Miss doesn't need to be so tired. Qingzhu's heart is incredibly complex. Su Chen didn't know what Qingzhu was thinking. He just wanted to go back as soon as possible and see what kind of mystery was inside the Black Jade Buddha. He just wants to break through the Qi and martial arts realm as soon as possible. Yi family. Su Chen asked Qingzhu to guard outside, and then brought the Black Jade Buddha into the burial heaven ancient ring. Senior, what treasures are there in this Jade Buddha? Su Chen asked eagerly. You'll chop it up. A faint voice sounded, revealing the figure of the woman in white. Su Chen was taken aback for a moment, but still followed the instructions of the woman in white and threw a punch directly. Boom! The Jade Buddha, which was already covered in cracks, was smashed by Su Chen's punch, and a black stone appeared in front of Su Chen. The black stone was only the size of a pebble, but there seemed to be liquid flowing faintly within it. Indeed, there is another mystery. Su Chen's eyes lit up. This is the black jade spirit marrow, which has been nurtured in the earth's spiritual veins for tens of thousands of years before it can form. It is a rare heavenly material and earth treasure. You can open it, apply the black jade spirit marrow to your whole body, and use the burial heaven divine skill to absorb it. It should help you break through the qi and martial arts realm. The woman in white said lightly. Senior, you are really amazing. There is another mystery in this jade Buddha, you can see it. If I go to the North Wilderness City to stroll around and rely on the senior's eyesight, wouldn't it be possible to discover countless treasures? Su Chen's eyes lit up and he said with a smile. What are you thinking? The woman in white said with a smile on her face. Cough. I'm just joking, senior, don't need to worry. Su Chen awkwardly smiled and said. Get out and practice, don't bother me if you have nothing to do. The woman in white waved her sleeve and directly swept Su Chen out of the burial heaven ancient ring. The temper of the senior is really irritable. However, with this black jade spiritual essence, when I break through to the qi and martial arts realm, I should be able to try to obtain the inheritance of those 8 strongest ones. There was a hint of anticipation in Su Chen's eyes. Click. Without any hesitation, Su Chen directly crushed the black stone, which contained a few drops of black spiritual essence. It looked crystal clear, blooming with a brilliant light and a fragrant aroma. At first glance, it was not an ordinary thing. Su Chen quickly applied the black jade spirit marrow all over his body and began practicing the burial heaven divine skill. Boom! Su Chen was burning all over, as if he was on fire. His qi and blood were surging, and a vast and majestic force surged through his limbs and bones, instantly increasing the speed of his qi and blood power by hundreds of times. The heavenly burial divine skill continuously operates, and the vast power of qi and blood flows like 100 rivers flowing back, converging at the position of the elixir field and launching an impact towards the bottleneck of the qi and martial arts realm. Chapter 8. Perfect Qi C, Yi Family Crisis. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. The massive energy flowed through all 4 limbs and eventually rushed into Su Chen's Dantian Qi C. Click. It was as if a divine thunder was falling, and a fiery divine light filled the void. A innate clear energy was born from the sea of qi, and the mist spread out, accompanied by a strong sense of power surging into Su Chen's heart. The sea of qi opens up, the turbid air sinks, and the clear air rises. After refining, it can be transformed into the true qi of a warrior. Breaking through the qi wu realm and opening up the qi sea is just the beginning. The energy of the black jade spirit marrow is pure and vast. With Su Chen's continuous operation of the burial heaven divine skill, his Dantian Qi Si is like a small world, slowly wriggling, and a majestic energy is injected into it, instantly opening up a space of 49 zhang. Generally, if a warrior breaks through the Qi Wu realm, the Qi Si can be opened up by about 9 zhang, and can reach a Qi Si of over 20 zhang or even 30 zhang, which is already considered a genius. Su Chen's 49 zhang sea of air space can be called the pinnacle of heavenly pride. After all, he awakened the true dragon bloodline within the burial realm, greatly enhancing his own potential. It's still expanding. Feeling that his aura was still expanding, Su Chen's heart shook violently. Even if the true dragon bloodline is a holy level bloodline, the initial energy sea space of 49 zhang is already considered the limit. It's the heavenly burial divine skill. A glimmer of enlightenment flashed in Su Chen's heart. Under the continuous operation of the burial heaven divine skill, it was like a storm sweeping through Su Chen's Dantian Qi Si. Dark mist overflowed from it and slowly pushed the Qi Si, continuing to open up towards the surroundings. 50 zhang. 60 zhang. 65 Zhang Su Chen's sea of qi slowly grew stronger, and only when it finally turned into a circle of 99 Zhang did everything slowly stop. 99 is the pinnacle of humanity. It seems that this is already the limit of the Dantian qi sea. There was a hint of excitement in Su Chen's eyes. He once saw records in ancient books that the strongest of ancient times had opened up a sea of energy of 99 Zhang, which is said to be the limit of humanity. And now, Su Chen has also achieved this. But just as he thought it was over, the divine voice of the Tao seemed to ring out in the darkness. Destroy all things, bury the heavens, the Tao cannot stop. Boom! The already stagnant qi sea space once again experienced a huge earthquake, and the operation of the burial heaven divine skill suddenly accelerated, tearing apart the void and expanding by 1 Zhang. Is 100 Zhang sea of qi the most perfect? Su Chen could already feel that although he only expanded by 1 Zhang in the end, his aura had gained a sense of completeness, more like a small world. Burial of heaven divine skill, it's really against the heavens. Su Chen's eyes were filled with an extremely excited expression. 100 Zhang sea of qi, unheard of, can be called the vast past and the present. The innate strength of true qi in his body far exceeds that of martial artists of the same level by several times or even dozens of times. However, although the perfect sea of qi is powerful, every breakthrough in the future will be even more difficult and consume more resources. Of course, I will also be stronger, even invincible at the same level. This is the simplest truth. But Su Chen is still full of endless fighting spirit. From peak to trough, and now to now, no one, no matter what, no difficulty can defeat him. Boom! In Su Chen's sea of Dantian qi, strands of innate true qi were condensed and became stronger as Su Chen used the burial heavenly divine skill and wandered around the heavens, big and small. Su Chen exuded a powerful aura throughout his body. So, without realizing it, a few days passed. Squeak! Su Chen pushed open the door, his eyes shining brightly. Looking at the world in front of him, there was a feeling of being separated. My cultivation has returned. Su Qingxue, please wait, I will be back soon. Su Chen whispered to himself, his eyes becoming incredibly sharp. In the front hall, Qingzhu and Lanxiang were gathered around a woman dressed in luxurious clothes, softly comforting her. The woman had a dignified demeanor, and although there were traces of time on her face, her beauty was still hard to conceal, especially her warm and watery eyes that were identical to those of Qingcheng. The woman's name is Lin Yun, and she is the mother of Qingcheng. Previously, Lin Yun was still sobbing quietly. When she saw Su Chen coming, her face immediately darkened, and her originally warm eyes became cold. Su Chen, where do you want to go again? Lin Yun shook off the hand supported by Lan Xiang and stood up, speaking sternly. Su Chen frowned. Although he knew that his mother.In.Law didn't like him, he still needed some etiquette on his face. He then arched his hand and said, I've seen my mother.In.Law before. I'm going out to take a look. He has already broken through the realm of qi and martial arts, and the required cultivation resources are even greater. Su Chen wants to go out and see if he can experience some natural materials and treasures in the Beihuang mountains. Lanxiang quickly gave Su Chen a signal to leave. Su Chen, you've been stirring up trouble multiple times, but still don't think you've caused enough trouble for Qingcheng. Looking at Su Chen's appearance, Lin Yun suddenly became nameless and excited, saying, You're not allowed to go, just not allowed to go. What does your mother.In.Law mean by these words? What trouble have I caused for Qingcheng? Su Chen frowned and his expression also became cold. Does he even have to be restricted from moving when he enters the Yi family? Don't pretend to be innocent. Since Qingcheng recruited you into the Yi family, you first deposed Yi Ling and Zhang Kuan, and then injured Zhang Lin on the street. How could they stop being so lawless? If it weren't for Qingcheng wiping your butt from behind, you would have been chopped and fed to the dog long ago, pretending to be idle and causing trouble all day. At this point, Lin Yun's emotions became even more intense and she pointed at Su Chen, saying, I really don't know what Qingcheng has set his sights on you. He even gave the Jinzu treasure medicine to the Su family in exchange for your life. Su Chen didn't want to entangle with the other party, but the last sentence was too hurtful. According to my mother.In.law's instructions, Yi Ling helped Zhang Kun attempt to insult Qingcheng. Should I stand aside and watch? If Zhang Lin blatantly snatches my things and insults me, should I kneel down and offer them with both hands, begging for life? When it comes to your Yi family, I should pick up my tail and let you call and drink, and be an obedient dog, right? When Su Chen was also in his prime, how could he suffer such humiliation? He glanced at Lin Yun and sneered, I'm sorry, I can't do these things. And since I work alone, I don't need Qingcheng to suffer for me. If you think I'm not worthy of Qingcheng, why not switch to someone else? Auntie, what are you saying? Madam is just in a moment of anxiety and speaks more seriously. Why do you need to be so confrontational? Lan Xiang gave Su Chen a look while comforting Lin Yun. You. Lin Yun pointed at Su Chen, gasping for breath. Unable to refute, there was fire everywhere, and her head was dizzy. Suddenly, she stumbled and almost fell. Fortunately, Qingzhu was quick-witted and helped her up. Okay, I can't manage Qingcheng and I'm too lazy to care about you. Lin Yun gasped and pointed at Su Chen, saying, don't you have the backbone? Aren't you acting alone? Now that the Zhang family is in trouble and the clan is also putting pressure on Qingcheng, if you have the ability, you can solve it yourself. Lin Yun's eyes turned red with anger, and she didn't even bother to look at Su Chen. With the help of Lan Xiang, she went back to the room. Su Chen didn't entangle with Lin Yun anymore, but looked at Qingzhu and said, what's going on? Uncle, the Zhang family has invited a particularly skilled alchemist from somewhere. The pills he refined not only have higher quality, but also have lower prices. They quickly took over most of our Yi family's business. The Zhang family is very arrogant, threatening not to hand over your uncle or let our Yi family go bankrupt. There are already many people within the clan who covet the position of the young clan leader of the young lady. In this family meeting, some elders have challenged the young lady, fearing that. Although Qingzhu has a cold temperament, his face at this moment is also full of worry. Also, did Yi Qingcheng really exchange my life for the treasure medicine of the clan from the Su family? Su Chen couldn't believe it. He and Yi Qingcheng have never met before, they are not relatives, why did Yi Qingcheng do this? Qingzhu's eyes flickered with a hint of hesitation before finally saying, Miss didn't want us to tell uncle about this, but Madam was right. Miss, in order to save you, did not hesitate to take out the family treasure medicine 7-leaf purple ginseng and countless spirit stones to let the Su family relax and agree to let you enter the Yi family. Surprisingly, that's how it is. Su Chen's heart trembled slightly. He became even more curious. Yi Qingcheng paid such a great price, but was it just to save him? He also understood that with the cruel nature of Su Qingxue and others, they did not kill anyone and silence them. It turned out that it was because of this matter. Let's go. Su Chen said in a deep voice. Uncle, it's better not to go out easily now, and the great wilderness mountains are extremely dangerous. Qingzhu quickly advised. Take me to the clan association. Su Chen glanced at Qingzhu and turned around to go out. No matter what the purpose of Yi Qingcheng was, he ultimately saved his life. And the Zhang family is clearly targeting him this time, so naturally we cannot let Yi Qingcheng take the blame for him. Qingzhu was taken aback for a moment. She had never seen such a sharp gaze before, like an ancient ferocious beast about to erupt. Surprisingly, even the 8th level of her qi and martial arts realm was shocked. Uncle seems to be different from before. With a murmur in his heart, Qingzhu quickly followed suit. The main hall of the Yi family. Last month alone, the family's business shrank by half. This month is only a few days, and the turnover is less than 1% as usual. If we continue like this, it won't be long before our Yi family closes down and allows the Zhang family to dominate the Beihuang city. Yi Qingcheng, is that how you manage the family business? Indeed, it's not possible for a woman to lead a household. I really don't know what the old man thinks. Sigh. After all, she's still a girl. Although she's a bit clever, she can't withstand big winds and waves, let alone influence the overall situation. Not to mention, she is still unable to cultivate. How can a mortal who cannot cultivate deserve the position of the young clan leader of our Yi family? A group of high-ranking family members sat on both sides of the main hall, staring at Yi Qingcheng with stern, angry, and questioning eyes, creating an atmosphere that was incredibly dull and oppressive. Yi Qingcheng stood alone in the center of the main hall, enduring accusations, questioning, and sarcastic remarks from all sides. Her delicate and slender body appeared incredibly thin. Chapter 9. Impeachment of Clan Association. You are listening at novel-full.audio. Dear uncles and uncles, it is normal for you to come and go in the business world, competing for fame and profit. Because of temporary gains and losses, there is such a big fight. Can't our Yi family's many years of heritage still bear this kind of turmoil? Yi Qingcheng continued to work tirelessly, speaking calmly and forcefully. However, his clear and rosy eyes were so strong that they made people feel heartbroken. Which one here is not a senior who has been struggling in the business world for many years and still uses you to teach? And this time, the Zhang family is coming aggressively, clearly trying to kill my Yi family. How can it be as easy as you said? Uncle Yi Diyuan on the front seat snorted coldly. I have investigated and found that the alchemist invited by the Zhang family this time is quite remarkable. They are registered alchemists in the Wangdu Dan League, and our Yi family alchemists cannot compete with them at all. If we continue to lower prices, the losses will be even more severe, and we, the Yi family, will be in big trouble this time. His second uncle, Yi Deming, also joined in and immediately stirred up a sense of crisis in people's hearts. You didn't hesitate to take out the family treasure medicine for that useless Su Chen, and even spent a lot of family wealth just to attract a useless person to join us, making our Yi family the laughing stock of Beihuang City. You didn't discipline him strictly, but you actually protected him everywhere, causing me a huge disaster for the Yi family. Is this what the young leader of the Yi family should do? After all, it's all because you, the young clan leader, are not good at handling things. Yes, Yi Qingcheng, what else do you have to say? Everyone was spitting uncontrollably and their emotions were very excited, accusing Yi Qingcheng harshly. Upon seeing this scene, Yi Diyuan on the front seat gave a cold smile in his heart. He achieved the desired effect. Yi Qingcheng felt very aggrieved and angry in his heart. Over the years, she has put in endless effort to rapidly develop and prosper the business of the Yi family, helping them transition from a second-rate family to becoming the #1 wealthy family in the Beihuang city. Let these people earn a lot of money and no longer lack cultivation resources. But they have no gratitude at all. As long as they encounter a crisis that damages their interests, they will be harshly accused. How can people's hearts be so cold and thin? Yi Qingcheng is very tired, but in order to repay the trust of the clan leader's grandfather, she has been working hard and persevering. Now, Su Chen's cultivation has been abolished and she has entered the Yi family. For Su Chen's sake, she cannot fall down anymore. I will be responsible for business matters, and I will also handle the grievances of the Zhang family. Since my grandfather appointed me as the young clan leader before he closed down, I will take on the heavy responsibility of the family. Yi Qingcheng took a deep breath and tried to maintain a steady tone, saying, There have been many similar incidents before, but with the trust and support of the clan leader's grandfather, she can always use her intelligence to turn danger into safety. You're not a cultivator or alchemist, what are you responsible for? And how should you handle it? If you don't have the ability, you should abdicate and give way to the wise. You always occupy the pit and don't defecate, it will only harm others and yourself. Most people unanimously criticize and mock Yi Qingcheng, while a few remain neutral, indicating that someone is secretly manipulating him. Seeing that the time was approaching, fourth Uncle Yi Delan stood up with a solemn expression and said, "Since everyone is arguing endlessly, I have an idea. I might as well hand over that useless son.In law and settle everything." His words received a lot of approval from people. A useless son.In law who has been abandoned by the Su family and whose cultivation has been abandoned. He has nothing to do but waste food. If he could use his life to resolve this crisis, it would not be in vain to waste the treasure medicine of the clan on him. No way. Yi Qingcheng, who had always been calm, suddenly became anxious and angrily said, "The Zhang family has been plotting our Yi family's business for the past few years. Even if it weren't for Su Chen, they would still make a fuss. This matter has nothing to do with Su Chen. The Zhang family hired alchemists last month to secretly seize and suppress the business of the Yi family. This month has suddenly become blatant, perhaps due to Su Chen's injury to the relationship between the two Zhang family children, but the main reason is that they have an advantage and there is no need to hide it. Moreover, the Zhang family is ambitious. Even if they hand over Su Chen, they will never stop and miss this great opportunity to overthrow the Yi family. Of course, the members of the Yi family are aware of these issues, they are just looking for a reason to cause trouble. No matter how Su Chen is, he is also my man. And I, as the young chieftain of the Yi family, it's not your turn to gossip about him." When it comes to Su Chen, Yi Qingcheng becomes incredibly strong, displaying the rare aura and authority of a young clan leader. As soon as Su Chen walked outside the main hall, he suddenly heard these words and his heart was shaken. Yi Qingcheng's domineering announcement was completely different from his previous lukewarm attitude, which brought a touch of warmth to his heart after experiencing the hardships of the world. Inside the main hall, there was a temporary silence. Under the stern gaze of Yi Qingcheng, the crowd was also somewhat stunned and didn't know how to refute for a moment. "Humph, just treat that useless person like a treasure. If you refuse to hand it over, you can abdicate and let someone with the ability solve this family crisis." Fourth Uncle Yi Delan suddenly changed his tone and finally started today's highlight, impeachment. The previous ones were just preparations. At present, the Zhang family is in a fierce situation. I think only the young master Yi Xinglong has the ability to lead our Yi family to regroup and solve problems. Uncle Yi Deming felt that the time had come and immediately stood up to take a glance at everyone. "Yeah. Young Master Xinglong has a strong talent and awakened the top-notch bloodline of the human level. His cultivation has reached the 9th level of the Qi and martial arts realm, and only he can lead our Yi family towards prosperity." "You're right. Even the Wangdu Martial Arts Academy is preparing to come for assessment. After Xinglong Young Master passes, he will become the Tianjiao of the Martial Arts Academy. At that time, even the Zhang family can only give up their pride. Qingcheng, the contributions you have made to your family are well known to everyone, and the family will also support you. However, if you prioritize your own interests and disregard the safety of your family, then we cannot tolerate you." Upon receiving a signal from Yi Deming's gaze, everyone agreed. Faced with the fierce crowd, even if Yi Qingcheng was the young clan leader, it was difficult to support him at this moment. When the clan leader is in seclusion, if the family encounters a crisis, these clan elders have the right to impeach the younger clan leader. Moreover, the lineage of Uncle Yi Deyuan has already had a huge influence, responding in unison. How can Yi Qingcheng alone withstand the competition? Despite this, Yi Qingcheng remained firm and said, "You have the right to impeach me, but the final decision is still in the hands of the clan leader. Before that, I was still the young clan leader of the Yi family." Yi Qingcheng. Uncle Yi Delan suddenly stood up on the table and said, "You are so stubborn. Do you want to put our Yi family in an irreversible situation?" Fourth uncle's words are heavy. Apart from everyone present, Qingcheng doesn't have that ability. Qingcheng glanced at Jade and sneered. She finally understood. These people had already made up their minds to force her to abdicate, so there was nothing to be polite about. Anyway, as long as she doesn't abdicate voluntarily or the clan chief personally orders, these people will have no choice but to let her. Qingcheng, don't go too far. Don't forget, you are just a useless mortal who cannot cultivate. Over the years, the family has treated you well enough. Don't be shameless. In an instant, led by Jade and Jade, everyone shouted angrily. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became tense, and even some hot-tempered individuals began to rub their fists and sleeves. Bang! At this moment, the gate was suddenly blasted open by a huge force, followed by two guards who flew backwards and fell heavily to the ground, howling in agony. So many masters with handlebars, who don't go to deal with the culprit Zhang's family, actually gather here to bully a weak woman. It's really impressive. A young man in white stepped forward, his sharp eyes filled with anger. Bold. This is the Yi Family Association. You useless son.In.Law has no right to come in. Get out of here. Seeing that Qingcheng was already struggling to support himself, he was suddenly interrupted by someone who acted recklessly. Jade and Jade immediately erupted into a furious rage. Especially, the person who forcefully broke into the Yi family meeting was still a useless intruder like Su Chen. For a moment, everyone glared angrily at Su Chen. They had already looked down on this useless son.in. law, but they didn't expect to dare to be so arrogant. It was like seeking death. Who doesn't take the Yi family seriously when committing the following crimes and bullying their own young clan leader? Without any fear, Su Chen glanced at the crowd indifferently and sneered. Su Chen, you're reckless. Do you think you're the young master of the Su family in the Dalai dynasty? You're just a dog adopted by our Yi family now. You should have self-awareness and get out immediately. Jade angrily rebuked. I am the son.In.Law, but my wife is the minor head of the Yi family. The head of the Yi family is not here. She is the final say of the Yi family. My wife doesn't say anything. What are you barking about here? Su Chen sneered coldly. You want to die. Jade was completely enraged. With the rising status of the Yi family, no one had ever dared to speak to him like this before. Immediately, he burst into the peak of his martial arts cultivation, intending to suppress Su Chen. That's enough. Qingcheng suddenly let out a cold shout and scanned the crowd with stern eyes, saying, Now I am still the young chieftain of the Yi family. My words are the chieftain's orders. Whoever dares to disobey is betraying the family. I will never be soft-hearted. As soon as these words were spoken, the scene suddenly fell silent. Even Jade dared not confront him head-on. Humph. A person who only cares about personal matters and disregards the family is not worthy of being our young clan leader. Qingcheng, if you still consider yourself a member of the Yi family, just hand over Su Chen as a waste and solve the crisis of our Yi family. Finally, Uncle Jade spoke up. He is the mastermind behind the Yi family meeting today. Yi Xinglong is his son. Absolutely impossible. Qingcheng said decisively, with an extremely resolute attitude. Isn't it that the Zhang family hired a mere alchemist? This leaves you helpless and only capable of bullying a weak woman. Su Chen sneered coldly. A mere alchemist. You useless person, do you know what alchemists represent? Jade retorted with sarcasm. Within 10 days, my wife will definitely be able to solve the Yi family crisis and defeat the Zhang family alchemist. Su Chen smiled calmly and said. Chapter 10. Inheritance of the Hunyuan Dan God. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. 10 days. Everyone was taken aback and immediately laughed, with a look of mockery in their eyes. In 10 days, we will defeat the alchemist of the Zhang family. Isn't this useless person just a pipe dream? Qingcheng frowned and looked at Su Chen with some confusion. Su Chen gave her a reassuring look and said, "Qingcheng, believe me." "Well said, what if Qingcheng can't do it? Are you trying to delay time?" Deming sneered. "If I can't do it, I will automatically give up the position of junior clan leader." Qingcheng gritted his teeth and said. I don't know why, but when she touched Su Chen's gaze, although she felt it was impossible in her heart, she still chose to believe. Okay. Since the young clan leader has issued a military order, that's settled. We'll wait for the young clan leader 10 days later to defeat the alchemist of the Zhang family. Fearing that Qingcheng would back out, Yuan immediately said. The voice was filled with playfulness and ridicule. Wait a minute. Su Chen sneered and looked at Yuan. My wife said she couldn't do it in 10 days. She gave up the position of young clan leader. But what if she did? Su Chen's words instantly silenced the scene. If she does it. What a joke, a useless person with no cultivation actually wants to defeat an alchemist, it's just a pipe dream. I see, they both sang and reconciled, which means they just wanted to delay time and wait for the old man to pass. Everyone sneered coldly. If she can really do it, then the position of the young clan leader will naturally be hers. We will never bring up the matter of impeaching the young clan leader again. Deming sneered. Su Chen didn't think much of it and sneered, no matter whether you can do it or not, you all have no damage to yourselves, and there is still profit to be made. Let one person suffer losses. How could there be such a good thing in the world? So what do you want? Yedlin asked. It's simple, if Qingcheng can do it, those who impeach today will all kneel down and apologize. Su Chen said slowly, with a cold light shining in his eyes. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone changed their colors and their eyes fixed on Su Chen, filled with anger and threats. Kneel down and apologize. Deming suddenly burst out laughing and sneered, Kid, are you going crazy with heartbreak? Do we have to wait for the elders to kowtow and apologize to a younger generation? Su Chen, you really don't know what to do. Delin immediately rebuked angrily. Since I dare not, then forget it, Qingcheng, let's go. Su Chen sneered coldly. You. Yedlin was furious, and with a hot temper, he actually wanted to take action directly. Yuan was still more steady, reaching out to stop him, and then glanced at Su Chen with a calm and even arrogant expression, his heart trembling with suspicion. Even if one's bloodline is taken away and cultivation is ruined, it would be impossible for an ordinary person to survive. Even if we survive, we will only fall into a puddle of mud. Not only did Su Chen not show any signs of corruption, but he also had a bit of vigor. He not only defeated Zhang Kun and Yiling, but also defeated Zhang Lin. Just now, he also injured the main hall guards in two Qi Wu realms. Has his cultivation been restored? Yuan couldn't believe it. He has never heard of anyone whose bloodline can still be restored after being taken away. Even if it were restored, what would happen? Martial arts cultivation and alchemy are two completely different concepts. As a young man who has never been exposed to alchemy, could he really help Qingcheng defeat the alchemist of the Dan League in just 10 days? Yuan regained his composure, and no matter what, he would fight for his son's position as the young clan leader. Okay, I agree. Yuan's words surprised everyone. Especially Delin, who wished he could beat up that ignorant Su Chen. How could he possibly agree to such a condition? I agree too. Deming also spoke, with a full smile and great confidence. Second brother, you. Delin was even more surprised. Fourth brother, don't get excited. A gambling game with clear cards, no matter how big the chips are. Deming smiled and said. Yuan and Deming are both the biological sons of the clan leader. Not only do they hold a superior position, but their cultivation and strength are also at the top of the family. They are always in high demand and are no exception at this moment. Since that's the case, we agreed and will see you in 10 days. Looking at the confident brothers Yi Deyuan and Yi Deming, other members of the clan also agreed. As Yi Deming said, the outcome of this so-called gambling game was actually foreseeable from the beginning. Even if you bet your entire fortune, why not kneel down? Kid, in 10 days' time, let's see how you die. After giving Su Chen a fierce glare, Yi Delan swaggered away. As long as Yi Qingcheng is still the young clan leader, he cannot use force against Su Chen. However, as long as Yi Qingcheng loses his identity as the young clan leader, he will have to deal with an ordinary son.In.law, which is not easy to capture. Su Chen noticed the contempt, ridicule, and even threats from the members of the Yi family, but remained calm on the surface. After all the members of the clan had left, Yi Qingcheng took a complicated look at Su Chen and said, "You shouldn't have come." Over the years, she has been facing the internal and external pressures of the Yi family alone, both physically and mentally exhausted. The feeling of support from the man I love just now is really beautiful and relaxing. But she didn't want Su Chen to get involved in this vortex at all. Moreover, Su Chen's excessive dominance just now has caused a lot of resentment among people. If she loses the position of young clan leader 10 days later, Su Chen's situation will be completely dangerous. Since you treat me as your man, I naturally can't let you suffer alone, let alone the fact that the Zhang family is already here for me. I'm not used to hiding behind women and being a shrinking turtle. Su Chen smiled calmly and said. Just now, when Yi Qingcheng refused to hand over Su Chen without hesitation and claimed that he was his own man, Su Chen's heart warmed. Regardless of whether Yi Qingcheng loves him or not, they are now married on the same boat. Naturally, we must be consistent with the outside world. Don't worry, I will help you. Su Chen said. Can you help me? Although Su Chen appeared very confident, his rationality told Yi Qingcheng that this was simply an impossible task. Forget it. I'll handle the matter with the Zhang family. As long as you stay at home peacefully these days and don't go anywhere, even if you help me. Yi Qingcheng quickly regained his aloof demeanor and refused people thousands of miles away. After speaking, he left the Yi family hall with a furrowed brow. At this point, she had no way out and could only grit her teeth and charge forward. Looking at Yi Qingcheng's hurried back, Su Chen touched his chin and shook his head with a smile. Although this feeling of not even trusting his wife is very uncomfortable, he is not surprised. After all, as long as it is a person with normal mind, it is impossible to believe that he, who has become a useless person, can deal with a prestigious alchemist. Uncle, Miss will never harm you. Let's go back. Glancing at Su Chen, who had been standing still for a long time, Qingzhu walked forward and said with a firm gaze. Before Yi Qingcheng left, she had instructed her to keep an eye on Su Chen no matter what these days, and not to let any more troubles arise. Su Chen saw Qingzhu's thoughts and smiled, "Do I look like someone who is showing off and causing trouble?" Qingzhu didn't answer, but she let out a coquettish moan in her heart. It's not like, you are. The Zhang family came with great force, so Su Chen temporarily gave up his plan to go to the Beihuang mountains for training. Returning to the heavenly burial realm once again, the woman in white appeared gracefully. Have you decided which person's inheritance to accept first? The woman in white still has an indifferent expression, but she always anticipates things first. I've figured it out. Su Chen nodded and sat down in front of the seventh tomb. The four ancient characters on the tombstone were Hunyuan Dantian. Since Su Chen is a transcendent existence known as the Dan God, after obtaining his inheritance, it is natural for him to defeat a small alchemist. The woman in white was not surprised at all, and it was obvious that what had happened outside could not escape her ears and eyes. Although you have feelings and righteousness, I still want to remind you that with your current cultivation and mental strength, reluctantly accepting one person's inheritance is already the limit. If you want to accept others' inheritance again, it may take a long time. The woman in white said. Su Chen, who was eager for revenge, originally planned to accept the inheritance of those martial arts masters first. But the plan cannot keep up with the changes. If the current crisis cannot be resolved, he and Qingcheng's family are likely to be bullied to death. Senior, I have already made a decision. Su Chen nodded solemnly and said. The woman in white stopped talking, and as she waved her jade hand, the prohibition on the seventh tomb was instantly lifted. Boom! A powerful and unparalleled mental wave erupted, like a mountain-roaring tsunami, causing a violent shock in the burial world. Is this the terrifying spiritual power of Dan God? Despite being dead for many years, the legacy left by the Hunyuan Dan God still retains his terrifying spiritual power, making Su Chen feel like a floating duckweed in a sea of anger, ready to be destroyed at any moment. In accepting inheritance, do not waver in your mind at all, otherwise you will die tragically. The woman in white reminded me. Boom! In the next moment, a brilliant divine light suddenly surged out of the tomb, like a stunning swan shot from the nine heavens' divine sun, full of fiery, domineering, and violent spiritual power, directly shooting into Su Chen's eyebrows. Under the infusion of massive spiritual power, Su Chen's face instantly turned extremely pale, feeling that his mind and even soul were being roasted in the flames, almost on the verge of collapse. Be sure to hold on. With a roar in Su Chen's heart, all his consciousness gathered and prepared to accept the inheritance. Boom boom. The blazing divine light roared in, instantly filling Su Chen's sea of consciousness. Like a chaotic thunderbolt exploding, an ancient scripture slowly condensed out of his sea of consciousness. Hunyuan Dan Jing. Condensing the extraordinary fire of the heavens, refining all things in heaven and earth. Hunyuan Wuji, Dan Dao Tongxian. The divine sound of Hongzhong and the LV suddenly echoed in Su Chen's mind. The ancient scripture slowly unfolded, and the mysterious rune emanated a vast meaning of the Tao. Each red gold character was like a fireball imprinted in his spiritual consciousness. Despite enduring the excruciating pain, Su Chen gradually became deeply attracted by this vast and profound alchemy scripture. He sat cross-legged, spraying a thin red glow all over his body, his eyebrows shining with divine light, and began to accept the inheritance of the Hunyuan Dan Jing.